Every time a new season of Invincible rolls around, the same question is always brought up. How would Superman do well against a Viltrumite, or 100 Viltrumites, or a Thrag? And while some of us may get swept up in the moment contemplating how much of a struggle it would be, no. Okay? Guys, Superman is Superman and it is impossible to power scale him. In fact, I'd go one step further and say that the practice of power scaling is ridiculous in general. Yeah, it's fun to be like Batman and Daredevil will be a really cool fight because Batman's gadgets might offset Daredevil's powers. Who knows? It will be pretty cool either way. But when people dig 3 assholes deep to find some shitty little feat that no one paid attention to back in 1970 whatever the fuck, just to argue why their character can beat another character, I think we're losing the plot a little bit. First of all, some people get way too heated about debates about characters that they're only attached to because they were printed on their bed sheets when they were 10 years old. Especially the whole Superman vs Goku thing. Bringing that up with a Dragon Ball fan is like bringing up the Viet Cong with a Vietnam War veteran. Except the Dragon Ball fan will argue that their experience was much more traumatizing. I blame Death Battle for how popular this debate became. They do a great amount of research though, and sometimes it's fun to just kick back and relax and watch this video that's higher quality than anything I could ever produce ever. But come on, these guys had to do a revised sequel of Superman vs Goku because Goku fans were so mad that Superman won the first time. And then another one. Did Goku win any of them? I don't know. It's ironic that Goku is all about training and self-improvement, and yet all his fans think that the key to happiness is to see him win this debate. Second, this power scaling shit is completely pointless because every character is more inconsistent than the time it takes for the girl you're into to reply to you. I mean, you're trying to distill 50 years of character feats and history into a single character. Actually, in this one issue from 1973, Spider-Man knocked out the Hulk, and the Hulk once punched a planet in half in a comic in 2009. So what I'm trying to say is, Spider-Man can punch a planet in half. Back in the day, all you had to do was look at that Marvel strength chart, but now we're out here dropping Scientology terms to describe power levels. New 52 Superman, yeah, I'd say his Galaxy Platinum Breaker twice before universe. What the fuck does that even mean? You know in that Gran Turismo movie how they would scout the best players of the game and train them to be the actual drivers in real life? Let's just do that, except with health research, and grab the top posters of r/who would win. And by the way, half the time, these matchups make no sense. Like when people put One Punch Man / Saitama against anyone. How do you even take Saitama seriously when his whole shtick is that he can beat anyone? And yet people still get so riled up about his powers. Look at this great Reddit thread about Saitama vs Goku. Dragon Ball fans are annoying and its power scaling is utterly bullshit. I think you're just a hater. I think you're just in denial. I'm really not. Saitama caps at multi-solar plus. Goku's at the very least universal. What does Saitama have that gets him beyond that? Even if Punch Squared is multi-galaxy, which is the best you can get it to, it doesn't change much. I'm like 80% sure I summoned Cthulhu by reading that. I hate to shit on other people's hobbies because, you know, you can do whatever you want in life. But this is just coming from a lack of understanding. Does it matter that much? Like past the casual dinner conversation with friends or whatever? I don't know. It's fun to debate about this kind of thing every now and then, but when it starts turning into a fucking algebra equation, that's when you lose me. And of course, the prime example of this is when Superman comes into play. Let's go through some feats that make Superman impossible to power scale. We all know New 52 Superman was weak as piss compared to his previous counterpart, but just because he was weaker doesn't mean he was weak. New 52 Superman was able to bench press the weight of Earth for 5 days straight. You might be thinking, doesn't sound that strong for Superman. I mean, this is Superman we're talking about here. Guys, this is the same hero that faces Toyman. You're telling me he can't just obliterate every giant toy robot in Metropolis with one touch of his pinky? By the way, the planet weighs around 6 sextillion tons. 1 sextillion is 21 zeros, which coincidentally is exactly how I describe your potential dating pool. I don't want to see another story where Superman struggles to lift a building or a mountain or a country. Superman right here is literally doing all that times 100 for 5 days straight. I know New 52 Superman is dead, but after this, did you really expect any villain to stand up to him? I can't even name a single physical act of motion that I can do for 5 days straight. You moron, I said active, so breathing doesn't count. Holy shit, Brainiac is coming to Earth. Hey Superman, how about you go to that galaxy over there, grab a planet and just chuck it at Brainiac's ship, because clearly you can toss those bitches like baseballs. Of course, the bench press doesn't strictly convert to punching power, but it sure helps. You ask whoever holds the heaviest bench press record in the world to punch you, and I promise you, it won't be fun. Yeah, so I know this isn't exactly an amazing feat compared to the ones we're gonna cover in this list, but dude, he pulled a planet. Yes, it was using a construct by Howard Jordan, which makes zero sense, but hey, like everything else in this video, it's based on a comic book, so I need to relax. But if Superman is really pulling at his best, which fair enough because Starbreaker was pulling Earth the other way, I feel like the Earth would just crumble. Or even worse, wouldn't the Earth just slice through Green Lantern's constructs like Play-Doh? So yeah, great. If this comic had a hint of realism, we'd all be fresh watermelon wedges for Galactus. And you know what? Bonus points to this comic for showing Superman exhausted after that. He's not just like, yep, easy, let's go fight Darkseid. No, he's like, I'm gonna sleep for a month. Actually, I take that back. Superman has no right to be exhausted because Green Lantern is the real hero of this feat. He's holding together a construct that covers the entire Earth while also strong enough to hold back Superman? So you're telling me if Green Lantern held back Superman like this, Superman wouldn't be able to escape? Holy shit, I think I just found a canonical reason as to why Green Lantern is stronger than Superman, and I won't be hearing anything else. Because that's how power scaling works. Sometimes I feel like a black hole is underplayed by fiction. A black hole pulls everything with an insane gravitational pull that's pretty much impossible for the human mind to comprehend. Omni-Man casually floating by a black hole when he's contemplating suicide, great shot, great for the story, but makes zero sense when you see him struggle on a planet with a slightly denser gravity. Or even the new Superman movie where he blows his way out of a black hole. What? And pause. And if you thought those feats were ridiculous, how about Superman holding a black hole with one hand? Are we high on drugs? He has to keep it in his hand so it doesn't swallow the planet. But newsflash, holding a black hole would not contain the black hole. It would just turn said hand into black hole. And then with the help of Green Lantern, they just throw it away. I'm starting to notice a common pattern here of Green Lantern and Superman being a good or reliable combo of bullshitting. Don't you hate it when you find a black hole around you and you just gotta throw it away? Yeah, it's a mini black hole, probably more than 1 billion times smaller than a regular black hole, and yet, one black hole bigger than what should be possible.
The tidal forces would tear you apart from head to toe, and you'd be sucked into the black hole like spaghetti. It would also consume the entire planet until all that was left was a scattered disk of hot rock orbiting the black hole.
Can you imagine being Lex Luthor enacting your next evil plan and Superman comes around and you go like, I've got kryptonite, and he throws a fucking black hole at you? What do you even do? And people pit this guy against Homelander, a guy who got beaten by a bunch of concrete. Are we insane? And those 3 Superman feats were just the foreplay, because we have yet to even touch pre-Crisis Superman. You know how there's always that debate about who's faster between Superman and the Flash, and someone always comments down "those for charity, Clark," to reference that one page from Flash Rebirth? Sure, it's a retcon, but Flash is kind of a pointless character if one of his comrades are better than him at the thing he's meant to be the best at. Right? Well, they didn't give a shit back then, because while chasing after Supergirl's unconscious body through space, Superman flies so fast that he breaks the bonds of infinity. First of all, no shot any of my cousins are doing that for me. Second, I think we're ignoring the term infinity a bit too much here. You're telling me Superman flew so fast, past the speed of light, past the point of time travel, past the expansion rate of the universe, and ended up at the gates of heaven? I'm not even kidding, that's what happens. Why is it that when Flash goes too fast, he ends up going back in time and makes the world worse? But when Superman does it, Spectre has to be like, hey, you're at heaven right now? You need to fuck off. We're always so quick to point out how broken Flash is as a character when it comes to his super speed, but here, Superman just surpasses all his feats in a casual side adventure. And you know what's also crazy about this? That is not crazy at all. Superman's just like, oh, okay, yeah, that just happened. How do you even compete with that? How do you power scale that with Omni-Man? Yeah, sure, Omni-Man's fast, but Superman literally went out of existence by going too fast. Oh yeah, Flash was so fast that he traveled before the Big Bang. Dude, Superman literally met God because he was going too fast. At this point, we shouldn't be surprised that Mr. Bench Press the Planet can throw around moons, but to smash together so many moons that you create a new sun? Huh? So he did this because an alien friend's planet was too cold, and Superman, as a parting gift, leaves a sun behind. Bro, I'm out here wondering if $50 is too much for a birthday present. Superman is out here pumping out suns like his Nick Cannon. There's always that fun fact that circulates around Superman being able to create a diamond by squeezing a coal. Let's change it up. Superman can now create a sun by squeezing together some moons. Also, did he even factor in what that sun will do to his friend's planet's orbit? What if the planet starts orbiting in a peanut shape and every time it's between the two suns it starts burning up? I don't know if that makes sense. Can you tell I'm not an astronomer? Also, since Superman gets his powers from the sun, infinite power supply. Whenever he's in space, just throw together some moons and boom. Factor in that breaking past the bonds of infinity bullshit, and oh my god, you got a guy who can just surround himself with suns at any time. Good luck, Goku. Or just outside Apocalypse, he should just make a couple of suns surrounding Apocalypse, so whenever he ends up on Apocalypse facing Darkseid, he's just a billion times stronger. And even if he isn't there to use all these suns, you're beating Darkseid by accelerating the rate of climate change on Apocalypse. That's kind of sad. Okay, technically not Superman, it's Superboy, aka Young Superman. So yeah, not even a full adder and still pulling off bullshit like this. If you zoom into this panel, you can count at least 12 planets in this chain. Let me say that again. If you zoom into this panel, you can count at least 12 planets in this chain. Not only is the ability to pull 12 planets insane enough, but can we talk about that chain? What is that chain made out of to burrow through a planet, let alone 12 of them? And if you're gonna propose that the chain is attached to the surface of the planet, you should realize that it makes only less sense. And how about the fact that he had to make every single chain link made out of whatever the fuck indestructible metal this is to span 12 planets? Do you know how long that would take? And to top it off, he's not even breaking a sweat. That's fucking sick. We've come a long way from huffing and puffing from pulling a single planet, haven't we? I know it's pointless to dissect the nature of this because this was written back in the day where power levels will fluctuate from issue to issue, but maybe that's my point. To go back to all these issues and cram all these feats into a singular character, what is the point of that? Also, I love how this guy's like, I'm saving billions of lives. My guy, you probably caused an ice age a million times over for each of them. You fucked them, okay? It's guaranteed death for everyone. And that's also if they didn't die from crust-shattering earthquakes and tsunamis, by the way. If you move the Earth a bit further away from the sun, I think it's safe to say that our ecosystems would be affected. Moving all these planets at super speed to one side of the universe to another? Bro, at this point, just let them die in peace. Now, we've talked about pulling some planets, but how about pushing the sun? You know what, I'm gonna be honest, this doesn't seem that crazy compared to what we just talked about, but just hear me out. When you consider that this was done to scare off Jack Frost, yeah, the mythical ice guy, I think it's safe to say that this was a bit of an overreaction. My telescopic vision shows Jack Frost retreated deep underground. Now I can return the sun to its proper place before the increased heat affects the Earth. Superman, I don't know what they were teaching back in Smallville High other than intro to mogging, but clearly you skipped out on science class. Sure, you got rid of Jack Frost, but you also fucked up the entire gravitational orbit of the entire solar system as well as any home that a polar bear could wish for. This just in from the Daily Planet, Superman has finally gotten rid of Jack Frost. That pesky little brat has been causing snowstorms throughout Metropolis for the past week. In other news, call your loved ones. Tell them you love them and that you forgive them, because everything you know is coming to an end. And no, I'm not just gonna glide over the fact that this guy just casually pushed the sun closer to Earth. The sun weighs 300,000 times heavier than Earth, so at this point, I'm assuming that the Earth is basically just a tennis ball to Superman. But if you think about it, it kind of makes sense because the closer Superman is to the sun, the stronger he'd become. However, this can be rebutted by the fact that this issue came out in 1954. The law of Superman getting its powers from the sun came about in the 60s. I don't know why I'm still talking about this. The point is, a Viltrumite is not pushing a fucking sun closer to Earth. This is a pretty infamous panel which I think requires minimal explanation. Superman sneezing away a dead solar system. At this point, should we even be surprised? When I sneeze, I feel 10 times worse and my throat hurts for some reason. When Superman sneezes, a couple planets get obliterated. I mean, this solar system was perished of all life eons ago, so maybe that's why the planets shrunk in size, because, you know, they do look pretty tiny. Or maybe this was their only way of showing multiple planets in a single panel and they're like, fuck perspective, we need to show that Superman's sneeze is almost as strong and powerful as the average dad sneeze. Also, you're telling me Superman never sneezes? Like, ever? I mean, I guess if that happened, we'd know because DC continuity would just meet its most abrupt ending of all time and we just have to focus on Green Lanterns and New Gods and the Elseworld stories. I know DC likes to go to the Flash for rebooting the universe, but how about next time we rope in pre-crisis Superman and someone shove a feather up his nose? If you're still trying to power scale this guy, good luck, because look, this guy just sneezed in the vacuum of space. You know, the place that is devoid of all air. How is someone like Metallo even a problem? Just keep your distance and just let out a small cough. I mean, you'll destroy Metropolis, but you'll get Metallo. Recently in DCKO, Superman fought Homelander, and safe to say, it it was pretty underwhelming. What would I have preferred after looking at all these feats? I would have preferred Superman launching the boy's Earth into the fucking sun. There was also this debate recently about Thrag versus Zod. Dude, Zod is also Kryptonian, aka the same broken fucking genetics as Superman. Sure, he didn't grow up on Earth, so he didn't get the same sun exposure, but this guy, he was a warrior. He trained in martial arts, so it's basically Superman, slightly weaker, but he actually knows how to fight. Are we kidding? Superman is truly the strongest superhero ever, and that's why he belongs on the DC Mount Rushmore, which I did cover last week. Who's the 4th pick on the DC Mount Rushmore? I won't spoil it, so go check that out if you haven't already, and I'll see you next week. See you.
10-1-5 in the open night.